In a series of shocking videos emerging from Panama, what was first believed to be a simple meteorite is now showing signs of something far more bizarre and terrifying. It appears to be coming to life. The metallic object, discovered in a man's backyard, has begun to sprout grotesque black tentacles that writhe and pulse with an unnatural energy. These surreal images have ignited a firestorm of global debate, leaving millions to ask the same terrifying questions. Are we witnessing a genuine extraterrestrial event? Or is this the most elaborate hoax in internet history? The man at the center of it all, a TikToker known as Panama, claims this is no trick. And as his story spirals into a terrifying narrative of rapid growth, strange new abilities, and even a potential government cover-up, the world is watching, completely stunned. The saga began on August 29, 2025, when a TikTok user known only as Panama uploaded a video that seemed, at first, like a simple curiosity. He explained that he had gone into his yard to check on his dog when he discovered a strange, metallic-looking rock lodged in the earth. He claimed it was a meteorite, an interplanetary visitor that had fallen from the sky. In his initial clips, he showed the object glowing faintly in the dark, a bizarre and captivating sight. But what started as a fascinating discovery would soon descend into the realm of science fiction horror. The rock was not inert. It was changing. Over a period of just 72 hours, the world watched in astonishment as the object began to transform. The solid rock-like exterior started to ooze a greenish-yellow gelatinous substance. This strange growth expanded rapidly, eventually darkening into a black, sticky, and utterly alien coating that enveloped the original meteorite. The TikToker, both terrified and mesmerized, nicknamed the entity Venom, a nod to the Marvel character whose amorphous, parasitic nature it seemed to eerily mimic. His daily updates became a global phenomenon, with each video revealing new, more disturbing properties. He claimed the object emitted a smell he could only describe as burning, and that this smell was growing stronger with each passing day. He demonstrated how the substance appeared to be hostile to organic life, showing a leaf shrivel and die almost instantly upon contact. Yet, perplexingly, he could touch the substance with his bare hands without any apparent harm. The most shocking development, however, was the growth of appendages. What started as small nubs on the black goo slowly elongated into what could only be described as tentacles. In a video that garnered over 10 million views, one of these tentacles was seen moving, a slow, deliberate twitch that defied any simple explanation. The user, Panama, insisted he was not a special effects artist and that the footage was real. He documented how the entity seemed to react to its environment, claiming that its growth accelerated when exposed to sunlight, forcing him to keep it in the dark to keep it contained. As the object grew larger and more active, his concern turned to genuine fear. He first locked it away in a heavy-duty safe, hoping to contain its frightening expansion. As millions tuned in, a sharp divide emerged among the viewers. One camp was utterly convinced they were witnessing a genuine first contact scenario. They pointed to the footage as undeniable proof. How could an ordinary man fake such a thing? The movements looked too organic, too real. They urged him to get the material to scientists, to have it studied. The TikToker himself seemed to lean this way, claiming at one point that an international university was coming to Panama to take samples of his meteorite for study, a claim that has yet to be verified. He even began separating small pieces of the growing substance into vials, supposedly to send to researchers around the world.
However, a growing chorus of skeptics began to meticulously pick apart his story. Their primary piece of evidence was the user's own carelessness. Why, they asked, would anyone handle a potentially dangerous, unknown extraterrestrial substance with their bare hands? It was a glaring inconsistency that suggested he knew exactly what it was and that it was harmless. Eagle-eyed viewers soon spotted other red flags. In the background of one of the early videos, near the alleged crash site, some claimed to see discarded matchsticks, leading to the theory that the scene had been staged with simple fire and effects. The speculation ran wild. Some proposed the original meteorite was nothing more than a potato painted black. The scientific community, though largely silent officially, began to weigh in through online forums and discussions. Biologists offered a plausible, if less exciting, explanation. The object could be a rare type of fungus known as Clathrus archeri, or devil's fingers. This fungus emerges from an egg-like sac and grows red, tentacle-like arms covered in a foul-smelling slime, an organism so bizarre it is often mistaken for something alien. Another, more complex theory emerged from a Reddit user who offered a detailed chemical debunking. They proposed that the substance was a mixture of polydimethylsiloxane, or PDMS, a common silicone-based polymer, and hexane, a solvent. When the hexane evaporates unevenly from the polymer, it can create a swelling-induced snapping motion, which could perfectly replicate the lifelike twitches and pulses seen in the videos. This explanation was compelling, as it accounted for the seemingly organic movement without the need for special effects, just clever chemistry. Just as the scientific explanation seemed to be grounding the story in reality, the narrative took another sharp, terrifying turn. The TikToker at Panama released a frantic update. The entity, he claimed, had outgrown the reinforced safe. He described how the black substance had expanded until it pressed against the very edges of the container, threatening to burst out. He was left with no choice but to transfer it to a larger, secret container, the location of which he refused to disclose. He expressed his profound confusion, stating that the entity was not eating or absorbing anything he could see, yet it continued to grow at an alarming rate. Then came the new, chilling details. He reported that the entity had begun to produce faint vibrations, a low hum that he could feel resonating through the floor when he stood near its container. He described the air around it as feeling charged, like static electricity was building up. The black substance was no longer just a passive goo. It was forming complex, web-like structures, reaching out as if trying to interact with its surroundings or break free. In one of his most disturbing videos, he reaches for the entity with a pair of tongs, and the object appears to recoil, seemingly aware of his presence and reacting to his actions. It was in the midst of these terrifying updates that the images of the hazmat teams began to circulate. While their authenticity remains unconfirmed, their appearance perfectly aligned with the escalating narrative of a cover-up. For his followers, this was the final piece of the puzzle. The government, or some other shadowy organization, knew about the entity and was moving in to seize it and silence him. This fear tapped into a deep cultural vein of government secrecy, immediately drawing parallels to the most famous UFO incident in history, Roswell.
The events in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947 have become the blueprint for the modern conspiracy theory. As detailed in numerous accounts, a ranch foreman named Mac Brazel discovered a field of strange metallic debris. The initial press release from the Roswell Army Airfield sensationally announced the recovery of a flying disc. However, this story was quickly retracted. The official explanation was that the debris was merely a weather balloon. Witnesses like Major Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer who first handled the material, would later claim that the debris shown to the press was not what he recovered, and that the real material was otherworldly, possessing properties of incredible lightness and strength, able to be crumpled yet always returning to its original shape. The incident gave birth to the belief in a massive government cover-up, complete with intimidating and silencing witnesses, and the secret recovery of not just a craft, but alien bodies. The audience watching the Panama story unfold in real time sees the same pattern repeating itself. An extraordinary object is discovered.
The discoverer shares it with the world. And now the men in black, or in this case white hazmat suits, are allegedly arriving to contain the situation and control the narrative. The online response has been explosive. A decentralized army of digital archivists has entered action, downloading, mirroring, and sharing every one of Panama's videos, convinced that his account could be scrubbed from the internet at any moment. They treat each new upload as a piece of evidence that must be preserved against an impending seizure. This digital preservation effort is a modern defense mechanism against the kind of information suppression that was possible in 1947. Today, the situation remains in a state of high tension and utter uncertainty. Is Panama a brilliant hoaxer who has expertly manipulated social media, using simple chemical reactions or bizarre fungi to create a global spectacle? Has he stumbled upon a real-life X-file, a discovery so profound that powerful forces are now converging on his location to bury the truth? No scientific body in Panama or elsewhere has officially confirmed the receipt of any samples or acknowledged the events. The entire phenomenon exists in the strange twilight world of social media, fueled by raw footage, frantic claims, and the collective speculation of millions. What is undeniable is the power of the story. It speaks to a deep human desire to believe we are not alone in the universe, and it taps into an equally deep-seated mistrust of authority. Whether it is an alien, a fungus, or a chemical compound, the venom meteorite has become a living, breathing narrative, evolving with each new post. The world continues to watch, captivated and terrified, waiting for the next update from a man who may be a charlatan or a prophet. The truth, it seems, is still out there, locked in a secret container, humming quietly in the Panamanian dark, waiting for its next.